Here we are back again for another episode of the Football's Next Generation with the voice, Jerome Marks. How you doing, Jerome?
Good evening. Yeah, good. Thanks. Looking forward to going through a few of these next gen players tonight.
Yeah, today we've picked Arsenal. We know we've got a fan base out there amongst the KS1 TV lot, and as you probably see, dabble in the old Arsenal bit. I didn't pick this on purpose. It was just what I was wearing. It just so happened to be. I couldn't bother to change it. This is actually going to be two parts because there's quite a few Arsenal players that we want to talk about. There's obviously Arsenal players that they brought in the summer, and there's a few that were already there that we're going to talk about. Jerome has the list of them. Jerome, it's over to you, mate. What you got for me today?
Cool. So let's start with someone that I think probably does have a chance of featuring the first team. Mm-hmm. Maybe not this season, but someone that has got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And that is a striker that Arsenal signed in the summer. He's from Sweden, and his name is Nikolaj Moller. Now he's actually been hailed as the next Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I know, I heard it. This is why I'm eager to find out how good this kid actually is.
Yeah. So obviously, being the next Zlatan, you can only play in one position. He plays up front,
of course.
Centre forward. I guess he's sort of built a bit like Zlatan. He's 6'4". So he originally played for Malmo.
Same again as Zlatan.
That's it. And he joined them when he was 13. Mm-hmm. And as I said, signed in the summer for about €500,000 from Malmo. Uh-huh. Now, his contract is up until 2024 with Arsenal. And before he signed, he actually did train with Malmo's first team. But I don't think he really played at all for the first team there.
Oh, okay.
When he actually signed for Arsenal, a lot of people from around the world of football were like, how did we miss this guy? So I don't think he was like really linked with loads of clubs, and there wasn't lots and lots of interest in him. But once he signed, it was like, oh my God, like how we miss this guy? He's like a big talent. He now he's, as I said, he's 6'4", and before he was 16, he actually missed a lot of football due to injury. He didn't really play a lot up until he was 16, and they think that's due to like the growth spurt that he had because he grew so much. His body picked up like injuries. Now the staff at Arsenal have been really surprised at how quickly he settled in and how quickly he's adapted. He's, as I say, he's an out and out centre forward. Got an excellent touch. Really, really good under pressure. You see a few videos of him holding the ball up, and he's got defenders right up him, and he doesn't seem phased. You know, he's quite calm, quite quick as well for someone so tall. There's been similarities
for a big lad.
That's it. Quick feet and quick as well. Like he's not a slouch.
Yeah.
You know, like Giroud's obviously like a tall guy, and he couldn't run he couldn't run for beans, but this guy's quite quick, and he scored on his debut for the youth team. He came up after 6 minutes, he scored on his debut against Man City.
I mean, that's not a bad team to score against either.
Nah, but he's got all the attributes.
Yeah.
I think he's probably quite suited as well to English football, the way he plays. And obviously these days, a lot of teams do play with sort of the one man up front, don't they? And if you're going to have someone, he could sort of fit the bill.
So you think he's got what it takes to maybe get into the fringes?
Yeah, I think we'll see him play for the Arsenal first team. Probably my sort of guess, if I was to say anything, is maybe next season in like, if Arsenal in the Europa League, we don't know yet, or because they won't be in the Champions League, or if they're in the Carabao Cup, something like that. I think you could see him get a chance.
All right. That's a quick rise as well from Malmo to Arsenal, and then even he's had the stamp of approval from Jerome Marks, so it won't be long.
There's some videos of him on playing for sort of the games he's played for Arsenal, and he doesn't look out of place at all.
Looks comfortable.
He looks like Yeah,
That's the thing. If you're going to be compared to someone like Zlatan, you've got to have some of them attributes. You've got to be calm on the ball. You've got to be strong. You've got to have pace. You've got to just ooze that confidence. And I mean, if he's got even a little bit of Zlatan about him, that'll go a long way. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good. The next player we'll go on to is Catalin Cirjan. Now,
I know this kid.
So he is a midfielder. He's only 17 still. He's 18 next month.
Yeah.
I would say an amazing prospect.
Yeah.
So he initially joined, he went into the under-18s and he had a fantastic season. And after that season, he actually signed a professional contract because he just impressed so much.
Mm-hmm.
This is a player that he's very, very technical. I would say he's probably got like beautiful technique.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. He seems to have like a football brain as well to go with the technique.
Mm-hmm.
Looks to sort of make things happen. I wouldn't say he's flash, but he'll produce bits of skills when probably a skill isn't necessary, but he'll do a little drag back or a little core of him and he doesn't really need to do it. But
it's part of his DNA. It's part of his DNA.
Yeah, it makes him look really good.
Uh-huh.
He's obviously quite confident as well because the under-21s this season, they played Gillingham in the EFL Trophy and he stepped up for it, which ended up being the winning penalty. If he scored the penalty, they won the game. He stepped up and done one of those Panenka penalties, chipped it down the middle. Yeah.
I don't think I could watch him then. I don't think I could watch him.
I think with him, I think it's probably the way his body develops as to whether he'll get chances. With another player that we'll probably mention later, people at the club and sort of fans' reaction to him on social media, they sort of been raving about him. Probably one of the most exciting talents at the club.
Yeah. I mean, I know about this kid. He's lauded in the world football scene, to be honest. He's Arsenal been chasing him for quite a while. And he's a massive Arsenal fan as well. So he's happy, Arsenal are happy, and they got their man. So it was another one where quite a lot of clubs were like, how do we not get him? But I think he always had his eye on Arsenal. Yeah.
So there's the next player we'll talk about. It's another sort of attacking midfielder, sort of slash winger, and I guess it's just a position where there's so much competition at the club.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously you can't fit all of them in, but at the moment they
right now Arsenal could do with one.
These are the exact players Arsenal could do within the first team. They just need to be a few years older, and that'll be all right.
We've got an abundance of youngsters, 17, 18. No, we need them now, mate. We need them now.
Yeah. So this is a guy that only turned 17 last month. An English player. He's played for the under-17s of England, and he's called Omari Hutchinson.
Yes, he's just signed a professional contract, didn't he?
Yes. So he's people might have seen him on YouTube a few years ago. There's a video of him like showing off his catalogue of tricks. Very skillful. I think when he was younger, he was like super skillful. He's still got all the tricks now, but I think when he was younger, maybe he could express himself a bit more, perhaps. Left-footed dribbles at a great speed. He seems to make. What I think he's quite good at is he makes space well to get shots off. That's what I've seen. And from last season, there's clips of sort of all of his goals from last season, and some of these goals are incredible.
Oh, really?
Like bullet shots from like 20 yards out, top corner. Excellent finishes.
Because he was in a few videos with the F2 freestylers, weren't he? Doing all these tricks and doing all that. So it's nice to see that players can take that skill and not maybe replicate it in the game, but it's like I see so many times when people see people do them tricks, they're like, yeah, but can they do it in the game? Well, Amari Hutchinson is proof that you can be a footballer and have them skills as well.
Yeah. But as I said, he's still so young. So in terms of seeing him, we're probably waiting another couple of seasons at least, I'd say.
Yeah.
And that goes also for the next player, who is an attacking midfielder called Marcelo Flores.
Oh,
Now, so he was 17 last month. He was actually born in Canada, but as you can sort of hear by his name, Flores, Marcelo Flores, his father's from Mexico, and so he's chosen to represent them, and he's played for their under-16s. He only actually signed professional terms with Arsenal last month after training after training with the first team. There's actually a very, very funny photo, or funny, maybe it's not funny, but there's a photo of him and Per Mertesacker together. And I don't think it's a good idea for these youth players to have their photos with Mertesacker, because
little and large.
Honestly, the difference in height, it just looks like a joke. You're looking at this guy and you're thinking, how can he be a footballer for Arsenal? Because he's so short.
Is Mertesacker's head even in the picture with him in it?
Yeah, honestly, it just looks ridiculous. It looks ridiculous.
I'm quite surprised that he'd only signed professional contract for Arsenal only last month.
Yeah,
he must have been sweating, because he's a talent.
Yeah, he joined them. He trained with Ipswich Academy for a bit and then joined from there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's actually got a couple of sisters, and in the summer, his sisters both play football. One went to Arsenal, and one went to Chelsea.
Yeah, I bet that was the silver lining on the contract, weren't it? Oh, yeah. Get your sister in as well. Arsenal first, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So he's a sort of an attacking midfielder. What I like about him is, I guess, similar to sort of Martinelli, where he seems to play with a lot of intensity.
Yes.
And lots of intent when he's on the ball. I think he plays at quite a quick tempo. He seems to do everything very quickly.
Yeah.
And he seems to be someone that, like Martinelli, puts in lots of effort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, chasing down balls.
Yeah.
Again, I know you like him. He's
I'll get on to why I like him in a second, but carry on.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much him, really.
Yeah, no, the reason why I like him, is what you just said there. He's so direct. He's got that energy where it's like, I know what we've got to do. I've got to score, and if I can't score, I want to create. I want to get into space and I want to cause trouble. Like, he's the kind of player that I've seen so many of these players, but if they break into the first team, I'm excited by them, because they have that energy. They have that. I see him as a fearless player. He'd go into a game, you put him into the Arsenal first team, and he'd go in there, get the ball, and he'd want to run around 4 people or create a chance, and then run into the box and get on it in the end as well. He's always trying to do something, or always wants to be on the ball, and I love that. And he's got that little pirouette thing that he does all the time, and it seems to work. So
yeah.
No, I've got higher hopes for you, Flores.
Do you think it's one of those where he doesn't look like he'd be nervous? He just gets stuck in.
Yeah, he does, and he's got that South American. I know it's Mexico, but he's got that South American kind of intensity where, like Suarez, like a Tevez, where, because he's quite short and he's quite stocky as well, and he just looks like he just wants to get the ball, and he's going to rummage around your feet to get it, and he won't give up, and I love that sort of intensity. I love that.
Yeah. Right. So next we move on to a English central midfielder that turned 19 last month, and that's Ben Cottrell.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of talk about him, isn't there?
I think, in terms of making it in the first team, obviously it's hard to tell, but I think probably one of the most underrated, under-talked about youth players at Arsenal, from what I've seen.
Do you know what? From what I haven't seen much of him yet, but then I saw his name being bandied about, and people asked me, "Do you think Ben Cottrell's going to come through this year?" And I was like thinking, to be honest, I don't really know much about Ben Cottrell.
That's it.
I watched a few games with him in it, and I can't see why no one's spoken about him.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, he was actually linked with Dortmund and Marseille. You know, when Dortmund are going on this spree of like looking to sign these good up and coming young players.
Yeah.
He was linked with them. Yeah,
that's a surefire sign that you've got a gem in your team when Dortmund are trying to take him in it.
Yeah. So he used to play fullback, but now plays central midfield. He actually, so he has trained with the first team on quite a few occasions, and people might have seen him in the pre-season friendly against MK Dons. he came on as sub. He actually came on, and I think he came on at left wing back, I think, which isn't his position. But when you get asked, or not asked, when you get told to play for the first team, you play
you just play anywhere. You play anywhere.
Yeah. But he seems technically like really secure. Seems like he's got a nice weight on his final ball.
Yes.
Emil Smith-Rowe scored last week for the under-23s against Everton, and Ben Cottrell picked him out with the ball, like ran 30, 40 yards and played a nice ball into him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with Ben Cottrell, I think it's a competition thing that might hinder his chances. Just because they've got so many young players in that attacking area, you've got to really stand out. But Arteta seems to like him.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like we've got the young players that have come through now that are already in and around it. The Nelsons, the Willocks, the Smith Rowe. But the people we're starting to hear about now that are coming in and around to the first team, I see them as Arteta's men. The other ones were already there. So it's very hard to push them away. They've got to be there and prove they're... But these are the ones that he's seen and he's gone, okay, I'll bring you to the first team. Yeah. And if you watch some of the goals that Balogun scores, a lot of the assists comes from Cottrell. Even in training, there's like a behind-the-scenes Arsenal training that was out last week. One of the balls that goes into the box that gets whipped in is from Ben Cottrell, which is a lovely ball from out right. Yeah. And he whips it in the box. And it's not even like a cross. It's like a pinpoint early ball whipped round to the striker's foot. It was lovely. So he looks like he's got some composure. Yeah.
So he, again, another one that's been with Arsenal since he was 9 years old. In terms of, I guess, comparing him to a player, maybe because he's left-footed and quite short, maybe a little bit like a Wilshere, but not as sort of muscly. Like he's a bit
doesn't hold the ball as long either.
He's probably not as, because Jack was very sort of skillful when he was at Arsenal. Like he was, he was top drawer, wasn't he? But I think Ben Cottrell is not. Yeah, he's just turned 19. He's probably prime maybe next season for like a loan out somewhere. I'd say. See how he gets on in first team, men's football.
Yeah. I think a loan would be good for him to, like you said, to see what he's like maybe in the Championship. The thing is that I think the worry about loaning some of our youngsters to Premier League teams is they're not going to get as much game time. Whereas in the Championship, you feel that if they're not getting game time in the Championship, then are you good enough? Is there a problem? So getting game time in the Championship, it's got a good mix. Teams that play football and teams that are rough him about, so you get a good gauge of where he's at.
Yeah, I think if the first team man, if Arteta's not sure about them, and they're 19, 20, they're at an age where they need to be playing men's football, get them out on loan, get them playing. Don't clog up the first team squad with them, because if you're not sure about them, at some stage they might end up playing, and if you're not sure, it might damage them in the long term.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah. So a couple more players for us now. I'll tell you what. I'm going to save someone for last. What we'll go on to now is we'll go on to George Lewis, the 20-year-old winger who was born in Rwanda and had a trial at Arsenal after playing in the third tier of Norwegian football. This guy basically was plucked from nowhere.
Yeah, obscurity, weren't it?
Yeah, and I don't think it's like an exaggeration to say he stunned people back in Norway that he actually signed for Arsenal.
He did.
You don't really hear these sort of stories a lot.
Nah. The Arsenal do love that story though. They love to pluck someone out of obscurity. I swear it must
Cohen
be like
Bramall.
Yes. I was just going to say Cohen Bramall.
Oh,
Geezer was working for like a car place in Swindon. Like come on. Like where these stories don't happen. One who was Jenkinson. Carl Jenkinson. Geezer couldn't even get into like a conference teams. Was plucked from released from Charlton or whatever it was. It's nuts. So we've got George Lewis now.
Yeah. So he signed the contract until 2022. A really, really raw footballer. It's going to be one of those where he'll either be at Arsenal until 2022, and then he'll go and he'll go and get another job in a different industry, or he'll be like a quality footballer. I think one of those is going to happen. That's my prediction. He's a really pacey and direct winger.
Yeah.
He says he likes to express himself. He's one of those which we tend to see a lot these days, where he plays from the left but is right-footed. And he scored on his academy debut against Ipswich at Portman Road. Now he really seems. I've heard him speak. He seems to really appreciate like where he is. Like
he does. He's so humble.
Yeah.
Yes, because he knows. Humble. Because as he said, he knows himself that coaches were shocked that he got picked up, and so he understands it. He understands where he's come from, where he is now, which is really good.
Yeah, he looked up to Adebayor and obviously Henry when they were playing for Arsenal. And something I saw today is that he actually speaks French, George Lewis, and he said that Nicolas Pepe has helped him settle in.
That's brilliant. Now these are stories you don't hear about.
Yeah,
that's the kind of story that needs to go out. Nicolas Pepe is helping George Lewis settle in. Like that's quality.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, he's playing with the under 23s, and as I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
Yeah, it's touch and go with him. Look, I like the look of him. I like his rawness, and I think that's why Nicolas Pepe's taking him under his wing. One, because he's that maverick kind of player. He's as he said, he's not afraid to express himself. And if you watch him play, you see him in the box with three men around him, and he's dropping a step over and a cut back, or he loves it. He doesn't care. He will take anyone on. And if you can harness that skill, then you've got someone which is an asset for your team. And I mean, like, if you just look at players that are like that, they generally, it's odd. They generally tend to get picked up going through the stages. Players like Wilfred Tahar, players like Mahrez, they don't usually start at the top clubs or come through at the top clubs. They usually come through at the lower clubs, and then the other clubs realise, oh, actually, this maverick player who we would have released at the age of 13, we actually need him in our team because he's something completely different. So let's see.
Yeah. Right. So we now move on to a player that I think's probably the most interesting out of the lot of them, and probably got the best name as well.
Go on.
Definitely the best first name. So his name is Kido Taylor-Hart.
Kido. Where's he from?
Well, he plays for England under 17. So
that's all we need to know.
That's it. Right. So this is a player who is extremely interesting. He's a player that probably up maybe even still to this day, but up until a few months ago, probably maybe 1 in 1,000 Arsenal fans would have heard of him. He just hasn't been on the radar of us fans. Haven't seen anything in the media, nothing online.
No hype at all.
No, didn't know he existed. No. So he's actually been with Arsenal since he was 7 years old.
Okay. And I'm not an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, and he is a boyhood Arsenal fan. So he actually suffered quite a long-term injury last season, missed a lot of games and only played 10 times. And that could be a reason why he hasn't actually signed a professional contract yet.
I want to see.
Yeah. So he's one of the top three fastest players at the academy. And apparently Premier League, Championship and Bundesliga teams have been keeping tabs on him.
Yeah, because they're waiting for us to sign that professional contract. That's why.
Yeah.
All these Bundesliga teams, if it's Dortmund, Arsenal needs to just take the risk. Just take the risk. How much are you going to give him a week? Come on, just sign him up, mate.
So the reason why people may have seen him recently is there was a first team video that Arsenal put out, one of those sort of 5-minute clips of them training. Mm-hmm. And I watched it when they put it out, and you can see this player he's got sort of mini dreadlocks, and he was picking up the ball and he was taking players on. He didn't look like he was He didn't look like he was just, making up the numbers there. He looked like the best player on the pitch.
Yeah.
Right. And people, you could see people on Twitter and stuff thinking like, who's this guy in training? And it ends up that it's this Kido Taylor-Hart. So he's quite an attacking midfielder.
Uh-huh.
If I had to describe him as a player in terms of the way he plays, I'd say he's a right-footed Leroy Sané, who used to play for City.
Oh.
Plays very sort of upright, can go either side, looks very dangerous on the ball. He's got a cracking shot. He scored a hat-trick against Norwich for the under-18s recently, and all the goals are online. You can see them.
Yeah.
I think this is the most interesting young player at the club at the moment.
This your one to watch, yeah?
This is the one. This is the one that is going to be, that has sort of come from nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
No hype around him.
Mm-hmm.
No one's been talking about him.
Yeah.
But when you watch him, he looks amazing.
Very assured.
He really looks good. So, if Arsenal, they're signing a lot of young players up to pro contracts, and this is the one that I would say sign him up.
What position is he?
So he's an attacking midfielder. He seems to sort of drift to the left, but he can end up anywhere attacking really. Not a centre forward, but sort of maybe just behind the striker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will definitely be keeping an eye out and looking at the news to see what happens with him, because out of all the players we've mentioned tonight, this one is like one that I think could go quite far, and he's an exciting player to watch, definitely.
All right. Well, we're going to be keeping tabs on them. We're going to be keeping you up to date. Once we go through the team, we'll keep you up to date on who's doing the best, who's Jerome's weekly one to watch, who's the performer of the week, and all that. Once we go through all the teams, but yeah, I mean, what a roundup so far. This is only part one, people. Shows you how much talent Arsenal have got. I mean, I'm being slightly biased on this one because I know some of the names already. And I wanted to hear what Jerome had to say about some of them as well. So, I hope you lot enjoyed part one. But there's plenty more to come. Trust me.
That's it.
All right. Thanks for that, Jerome.
Pleasure.
All right, take care, man. Take care.